All right, let's talk about the ice. Not snowflakes and penguins, not science bases or climate change. I'm talking about what's underneath, because something's moving under Antarctica. And what they found there, it's not from here, or if it was, it's not from now. This is emmsspiracy, and you're not going to see this on a documentary. Have you ever heard of the Book of Enoch? It's not in your Bible. It was removed, banned even. But it tells a very different story of how things began. In that book, there are these beings called the Watchers. They weren't demons, they weren't angels, they were in between. They came down, took human women, taught mankind secrets we weren't supposed to know. Weaponry, root medicine, how to summon spirits. And in return, they created giants. You've heard of the Nephilim? This is them. The gods punished them, but they didn't kill them. They bound them. Bind them beneath the earth for 70 generations. Enoch, chapter 10. Now, what does this have to do with Antarctica? Well, ask yourself where you could hide something like that, somewhere no one can reach, somewhere frozen, somewhere locked. They found a staircase under the ice. And not just any formation, symmetrical steps, perfect angles, repeating patterns, not made by glaciers, not formed by nature. The ice was melting away from it, not the other way round. And guess what? The footage vanished, gone from public servers. Geologists silenced. The official word, ice fractures. Yeah, right. There's a black tower down there, a real one. Back in the 90s, a seismic team was measuring vibrations in the crust, and they picked up rhythmic pulses like a slow heartbeat. Not natural, not tectonic. They sent a substation to the site, and that's when they found it. 3,000 feet tall, smooth, black, obsidian-like material. No visible seams, and it absorbed sonar and frequency waves. They tried to transmit a signal. The signal didn't bounce back. It was like the tower swallowed sound. The site was shut, the team went home, nobody talked. Now let me tell you the bit that really gets me. In 1963, the Vatican sent a quiet team of scientists to Antarctica. No press, no photo ops, no holy mission. They went to a very specific location, latitude redacted. They stayed for 6 days. One memo leaked decades later. Just a line scribbled on the bottom of a page. Another gate. This one isn't dormant. Why would the Vatican, keepers of religious texts, be interested in a frozen wasteland? Unless they knew what was buried under it. The ice isn't just melting, it's cracking open. They keep blaming global warming, but some of us think the warming isn't the problem. It's the excuse, because something down there is still pulsing, still vibrating, still watching. And if you think that's mad, go and look at how many countries are silently building research stations near those blocked out zones. They're not studying ice, they're guarding something. Something that was sealed before history, something that might not be asleep anymore. You're going to see more stories come out soon. Leaks, strange frequencies, people going missing on the ice. They'll tell you it's weather, but you and me, we've seen the signs. And we know whatever they tried to bury down there, it's waking up. This is emmsspiracy, and Antarctica isn't the end of the world. It might be where it begins. All right, you've made it this far. That means you're already asking the right questions. So let me take you one step further, because this isn't just about what's under Antarctica, it's about what's above it too. There's something wrong with the sky over the South Pole, and something beneath it is trying to send a signal. Let's talk about the firmament. Now, whether you believe in the biblical firmament or not, that whole dome over Earth thing, it's mentioned in ancient texts, spiritual doctrines, and even declassified documents. And if it's all just a myth, why is the South Pole the one place where private companies aren't allowed to explore beneath the ice or fire anything into the sky? There are sealed zones with no drill, no fly, no signal policies, even satellites reroute. Why? Because maybe they're protecting the ceiling, and maybe someone's tried to break through it before. In 2002, a signal was picked up, not by NASA, not by mainstream media, but by independent researchers monitoring infrasound, low-frequency vibrations that aren't audible to human ears. This signal came from deep beneath Antarctica. It didn't match any known tectonic movement. It wasn't seismic. It wasn't nuclear. It wasn't weather. It was rhythmic, patterned, intentional, and it only lasted 12 minutes. Then it stopped. No explanation, no report, no follow-up. Submarines have gone missing. Look it up. Multiple military subs, both Russian and American, have mysteriously lost contact while navigating beneath the ice shelves. Some never returned. Others were found completely intact, with no signs of damage, but no crew inside. One of the logs retrieved from a US sub simply read, "We're hearing something. It's not water." They classified it, we archived it, and then the blue glow. You know what I'm talking about. Photos leak out every few years. a weird bluish glow coming up through the ice, seen by pilots, seen by satellite imaging techs. Sometimes it flickers, sometimes it pulses, sometimes it forms circles, perfect rings, like a lock. You ever seen a seal that glows when it's breaking? Yeah, that's the one. So here's what I think. The South Pole isn't just cold, it's guarded. Whatever is beneath us, whether it's the Watchers, the gates of old, or tech we were never meant to touch, something's active. And if that signal comes again, or if that ice gives way, they won't be able to contain it, and we won't be able to deny it. You're not crazy for asking questions. You're not mad for feeling like there's more beneath the surface, because there is. They built an entire continent of silence to keep us out. And you? You walked in anyway. This is emmsspiracy, and the further we go, the closer we get to the truth. This is the part they don't talk about, not in books, not in declassified files, not even in whispers, because once you see this, there's no going back. Antarctica isn't just a frozen continent, it's a cover, a lid, a vault. And the bones underneath, they don't belong to us. Let's start with Project Iceworm. In the 1960s, the US military launched a covert operation beneath Greenland's ice, Project Iceworm. They told the public it was about cold weather research, but in truth, they were trying to build a network of underground missile silos beneath the ice. Why? Because they knew the ice could conceal everything. It absorbed radio, it masked heat signatures. It was the perfect place to hide. Now ask yourself, if they were willing to do that in Greenland, what do you think they're doing in Antarctica, where no one's watching? And here's the twist, Iceworm failed. The tunnels collapsed under their own weight. Unless you build with materials that aren't from here. There are bones in glacier caves. This part's been whispered about for years, but a few researchers risked their careers to bring it forward. Bones, massive femurs, skulls that aren't human, rib cages large enough to house something 12 to 15 feet tall. When the ice melts just right, they surface just long enough to be seen, photographed, then discredited and wiped. They always blame pareidolia, say it's just a chunk of ice that looks like a skull. But what about the ones with tooth ridges, eye sockets, cranial symmetry? These aren't rocks, they're remains. The machine they're still monitoring. In 1987, a quiet research post called Station Echo 4 was shut down overnight. Officially, a budget cut. Unofficially, one of the last messages transmitted was, "It's active again, same tone, same frequency, but it's getting louder." No one ever said what it was. But some say it's not a machine we built, it's one we found. Rumour says it pulses every 27 hours. A deep bass hum, like a beacon or a heartbeat. And it only activates when the ice pressure around it drops below a certain level, like it was designed to stay dormant until the ice melted. And that time might not be far off. The truth buried in the bones. You were never supposed to connect the dots. The Book of Enoch says the fallen were bound in valleys inside the earth. Ancient maps show Antarctica before it froze. Military black sites monitor ice, they say doesn't matter. And bones, not fossils bones, show up where no one should have been. This wasn't a random continent. It was chosen because it was remote, because it was sacred, because it was sealed. They built a continent around a lock. They built silence around the signal. And they told us it was snow, but snow doesn't hum. Ice doesn't whisper. And continents don't glow blue when no one's looking. Something ancient is buried down there. And it's not just bones, it's memory. And it's waking up. This is emmsspiracy. And the further we dig, the more we find the truth isn't lost. It was buried on purpose. Everything they've told us about Antarctica was a decoy. The penguins, the science stations, the climate research. But behind the snow, behind the military no-fly zones and censored satellite passes, there's something else, a final piece. Because you don't build walls around nothing, and you don't station guards where there's no door. For decades, insiders have leaked strange reports from Antarctica. Sudden auroras forming at ground level, static distortions in the air, equipment behaving like it's being pulled, not magnetically but vibrationally, moments where the compass flips, not north to south but inward. Some say it's tectonic, others say it's solar flares. But if you know what to look for, the signs are always the same. A breach, something trying to open, or maybe something trying to get out. There's this theory, heavily redacted, barely acknowledged, about a global program that involves ancient stargates. The US was involved, so was Russia. But the coordinates of the main access point, all fingers point south to the pole, to a very specific zone no one is allowed to mention. It's said to be a natural gate, not a tech-made machine, but a frequency pocket, where time, light and gravity behave differently. And when certain cosmic alignments hit, the door vibrates. Do you ever wonder why all major observatories track the same stars but don't share the data? Yeah, it's not just about watching the sky, it's about timing the breach. The backup plan is already in place. In 2021, several world leaders flew to Antarctica with no press coverage. Unscheduled, off-grid, no public reason. Shortly after, global documents surfaced about climate resilience bunkers, underground relocation drills, and mass data backups being stored off-continent. This isn't about weather, it's about exit strategy or containment. If that portal opens, whether from melting ice, vibration shifts, or some celestial trigger, they're not planning to stop it. They're planning to hide from it. So what happens when it opens? Well, we don't know, but some signs point to a release of frequencies that don't affect electronics but affect consciousness, beings that aren't physical in the way we are, but can still be seen. A shift in Earth's magnetic field that resets our sense of direction, time, and memory. They've been preparing for it, and we've been told it's all just science fiction. But if it's fiction, why are they building bunkers? Why are they sealing zones? And why are they afraid of what we might become when the signal goes out? This isn't just about Antarctica, it never was. It's about the things buried before history, the gates sealed with ice and silence, and the watchers still pulsing beneath the surface. If it opens, don't run, don't look up, don't follow the light. Go quiet, go deep, and remember what you heard here first. This is emmsspiracy, and the countdown doesn't begin when they tell you. It began when the ice cracked.